sign to go on one of my cakes, and I wanted to show you how I do that. So go to your cake and measure whatever tier that you're going to put it on, or if you're going to put it on the top. Measure how wide and how tall that's going to be. So print everything out the size that you need, and then I will show you what to do. Okay, to start off, I have rolled out fondant, the colors that I'm going to need. So I need white, green, and yellow. So what I did is I rolled them out pretty thin. This is about 1/4 of an inch thick. And what I do, I always mix my fondant with a little bit of Tylose powder. A little bit goes a long way with this. This is going to make your fondant dry hard as a rock. So if you add a little, like I'm saying, for something that's this big, you want to add maybe just 1/4 teaspoon, maybe even smaller. Mix the Tylose in with the fondant and let it sit for a ½ hour before you start to use it, and it'll help the fondant stiffen up. I always add this to my fondant. It just makes the fondant easier to handle, and it holds its shape better, and it dries faster. I have my cutting board here. I have a paper towel, a wet paper towel that I always keep here so I can wipe off my tools. I have an X-Acto knife, a needle tool, a small paintbrush, a little cup of water, and a Dresden tool. This is just my favorite tool. These are the basic tools that I use all of the time when I'm doing decorations like this. To begin, I'll take the white and I'm going to cut the name out. I believe this font that I used is Comic Sans font. And what I do, I type the name, but I put a space in between each letter. So I type R space, I space, L space, E space, Y. So there's room in between for me to cut the letters out. If I don't have spaces, then the letters are kind of close together and it's a little more difficult. So I'm going to wipe this clean. And I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to hold the paper down and take the needle tool and start to press the needle tool, tracing the letter around and poking holes into the fondant. And as always, I don't push the holes exactly on the line where the letter is, because if I did that when I cut it, I would end up cutting smaller than what the actual letter is. So I always poke, even on the inside, I poke away from the line. So then when I go to cut, because I have to cut on the inside of the dots, when I go to cut it, then the letter will be that size. I also made this font bold, so the letters were thicker. And then when you're done, just peel that away. It's going to be a little difficult to see because this is white, but now I have an outline of all the letters. I will take my X-Acto knife and just wipe the blade to make sure that it's clean. And now I'm going to cut out the letters. Whenever I have letters that have a center to them, like an O, R, B, any of those letters that have a center to cut out, I always cut out the center part first. It's a lot easier if you cut the center out and then cut the outside of the letter. So I do it that way. As you take out the letter from the fondant, as always, take your fingers and just smooth out the jagged edges to make everything nice and pretty. And then I usually just take the letter and put it back on top so it can hold the shape. Sometimes the letters can get distorted as you handle them too much, so that allows you to reshape it the correct way. And then do the same thing for the other 4 letters. So now to cut out this bottom part, I have a roller here which has different settings and different pieces in here, so you can adjust the pieces depending on how thick you want your ribbon to be cut. So I am going to, okay, if I make it this big, you just have to play around with the pieces. I can see that cutting it this big is going to be the same size as the paper. So I'll set that aside. And I'm just going to take my ribbon cutter and cut a long strip here. And like always, taking my fingers and smoothing out the sides. Now I want to put this on the top just so I know where to cut the sides off. I'm going to make a couple dots in the fondant. And that is the same size that's in the picture. Now these edges are rounded, so I want to round them off. I have the Atiko 805 tip, and I just want to lightly, I'm going to push on one side. I'm not pushing this whole thing down because I don't want to cut a circle out. I only want to cut the corner off. So I'm going to just push on this edge, on this end, just to cut the corner off to get a nice round edge. And I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. Now I want to cut out this circle on the top, this half circle. So I have this Atiko round cutter set I use all the time. And I just want to see which circle this is going to fit. So it's going to be either this one or this one. It's this one. I just hold the circle up to it and see which one takes the shape. So that's the perfect size. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of fondant and cut the circle out. Smooth the edges like always. And then put the circle on top. I'm going to cover all the green part. And I have to cut it where this top yellow part starts. That's where the green ends. So place this on top here. Align this with the top part of the yellow. And then slowly cut it to size. I will take my yellow fondant. What I'm going to do, I have a little bit of water in my paintbrush. So just dipping my paintbrush in the water and putting enough on to make it wet, but not so much that it's going to seep out the edges when I put it on. So taking this and lightly putting it down. I'm lifting one end and then pushing it down this way so no air bubbles form underneath. And then for this top piece, I'm just laying this on top to see right around here is where I'm going to want to set it. So I'm just going to make a mark. And then take my paintbrush, a little bit of water on the back of here, and put this down. I want to make sure there's a yellow line in between and that this is centered. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now I can take my X-Acto knife and trim around the edge. I want to make sure that the yellow is the same distance all the way around. So you have to have a steady hand and move slowly and cut around the edges. And here's your Sesame Street sign. This is going to go on the side of an 8-inch cake. So I have an 8-inch cake dummy here, and I'm just going to take it and lay it on here and let it dry for, I don't know, till I'm ready to use it. So I'll probably be a day or two before I start to use that. I use little tacks to put in the bottom to keep this from rolling around. And there's your Sesame Street sign, ready to go on the cake. So here you go, here's your Sesame Street sign cake decoration. Since you mix it with a little bit of Tylose powder, it's not that soft where you can actually put it on a cake right now, but I'm not ready to do that. So I am just gonna leave it on the side of that 8-inch cake dummy to dry until I'm ready to use it. Or if you want to, you can just let it dry flat. So I hope you liked this video. Feel free to like it if you liked it and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I have my website. And as always, I will answer any questions if you just leave them below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I think that's it for now, so I will see you on the next one. Bye!